Can you elaborate on the company's slogan, think like a brand, act like a startup? So it's a great question. Thank you for asking it. It took a lot of time for us to come up with, our whole philosophy and approach, and it was something that evolved over the years. But the basic foundational part of where we came up with sort of the approach is we've been doing it the entire times in a one-way direction, where we were bringing brand thinking and strategic foundations to startups, and helping startups kind of harness their natural ability to be agile and move quickly and be iterative and test and fail quickly, essentially. And so we'd always been taking kind of cross-pollinating brand thinking with sort of entrepreneurial methodology. And in 2011, we started working with some larger companies. And it was mostly because they came to us, or their agency came to us and said, hey, listen, we need help with this innovation program, or we need help with this community management program. We really don't know what we're doing, but we know that we need to work differently, and we need that subject matter expertise. So we spent a good portion of 2012, the first kind of portion of it, really thinking through the next generation of the business and where we wanted to evolve to. And so, as more and more big brands, and one of the biggest brands that this kind of happened with was Pfizer. They literally called me after taking a class that they had found online at General Assembly, and they called and said, hey, listen, we really need help building our community management discipline. Can you help us with that? And my first reaction was, well, we work with tech startups and emerging businesses. You're very established, or why could we help you? And after sort of hearing the 5 or 10 minute explanation from this executive decision maker at Pfizer, it really kind of reinforced for myself and our whole management team and core team, that what we do has been cross-pollinating the best practices of both worlds since day one. We just weren't working as much with big brands unless we were partnering them up with startups that we were working with. And so it was just a very natural progression, especially as startups and entrepreneurship have become much more trendy and much more accepted in bigger business, for us to take that brand thinking that we've been bringing to startups and the entrepreneurial practices and principles and that cross-pollination, and then bringing it back to brands as well. So that's really, that's the background behind why that makes sense. And how we came up with it was really just, we work with brands, we work with startups, and doing from a brand exercise perspective, a matrix of, well, what do brands do really well, and what do startups do really well, and what do they both fail at? Are there any similarities? And what we really saw was that they really are, different sides of the fence. And they bring great strengths to the table, but they also have sort of their own and specific weaknesses. And we'd always sort of cut out the fat and sort of taken a different approach in the way that we worked with, taking the best of what brands do and the best of what startups do and just cutting out the excess, that we felt like it was just so appropriate to have the strategic foundation, the thinking that brands put into understanding their audience and understanding the market and articulating that, and really making sure that their packaging and their brand identity and development really assimilates with that, and taking that agile testing iterative methodology that startups use that helps them move so quickly, and really continuing to leverage the best of both of those worlds.